Hello, everyone. This is David Stark from WatchItPass.com, your website for movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Today, I'm joined by Joan Carr-Wiggin, the writer and director of Getting to Know You. It's an all-new comedy drama that is available digitally, so you can check it out, on any platform that you have and watch it in the comfort of your home. We're going to talk to Joan in just a second, but first, let's check out that trailer. And while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that'd be fantastic. Helps me out a lot. Thank you.
You're not here for the reunion.
Reunion?
High school reunion this weekend.
Why do we ever go to these things? To see the one that got away.
She was married, of course. With children. 2 children.
But you think those kids even like me?
She's left a Dear John letter for her husband. And he's away at a bowling tournament. I don't know what to do. What if you show up at my room because you wanted to join me at the reunion?
Pretend to be your wife in person.
There is a strange woman in your hotel room.
Oh my God, my kids are never going to believe I'm doing this.
I think we should have picked another hotel.
I'm very glad I picked this one.
I will never forget this weekend.
Okay. Well, thank you for interviewing me. It's much appreciated.
No, thank you. Thank you for making the time. I guess I get to watch a lot of movies in this little hobby that I have, and it's always fun to get these kinds of, gems that you don't really expect, and then it kind of hits you as you're watching it, that you're like, oh, well, this feels really good. This feels really different. So I always love talking about them, and I always love talking to people who make movies because it's just so fascinating.
Well, and I really, really want to thank you both for the interview, but most of all for your review, because I don't know if people, out there doing, reviews like that, like you are on your own. I don't know if you know how much filmmakers appreciate it. Like, because it's really hard now. You spend a year of your life on a film, and it can just disappear so easily if you're a small film. You don't have some giant P&A and stuff. And when people appreciate it and really get it, it just helps us keep going. It's really wonderful. Like your review, we're sending it out to, people who worked on the movie. I'm sending it off to Natasha this weekend. It's our leading lady. You're really helping independent film to a degree that I'm not sure you might realize.
Oh, well, thank you so much for saying that. I mean, I kind of just like to watch whatever I can, and I feel like indies, you do get a lot of, interesting, kind of maybe different takes on things, and that's one of the things I love about this film too. So I'm really glad to hear that as well. My job is easy, or my hobby is easy. I get to watch and kind of comment, so I'm glad to hear that it makes a difference.
Well, but you're good at it. There's other people out there commenting, and I find it odd. Sometimes you get reviews and they'll go like, well, obviously the filmmaker was thinking this, and you think, no, excuse me, could I put my hand up, please? No, I actually wasn't thinking that at all.
Yeah,
it was one for this movie where someone said, obviously the ending was in mind from the start, and everything worked to that ending. And I'm like, no, could I please tell you? In fact, I had no idea how it was going to end when I was writing it. So, yeah. So I do appreciate the thoughtfulness and intelligence you put into your review.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate the nuance in the film. I mean, this is, you see so many romantic films that I think, to that film critic's point, they kind of predict where it's going based on the tropes. And this one, you kind of knew where it was going, but it did it so naturally. Like it really felt like you were watching an organic relationship develop and not something that was kind of manufactured for a film, which I really, really like to see.
Oh, thank you. Well, and it helps to have wonderful actors. I mean, we had amazing actors in this.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's get into them. I guess, where did you find them? I saw that you worked with Natasha on another film recently.
Yes.
That maybe you worked out with her before, and Rupert as well. They were fantastic on screen. They had such natural chemistry. I don't know if they'd worked together or if that was just kind of, good characters.
No, they hadn't even met before. I saw Natasha in a mini series of Vanity Fair. That's like 20 years ago or something. And she was really good in it. And then I just kind of forgotten about her, and then watched Night Manager, the Jean Le Carré one. Mini series, and she was really good on that. And then my daughter, who's always the smart one in the family, said, why have you not made a movie with this person? So we made the bet with her, and it was after I'd written the script for Getting to Know You, but we were still putting the financing together. And I kept thinking, oh my God, she's perfect for Abby. I hope she likes me enough to do another movie with me. Fortunately, she said yes. And then Rupert, I knew from MI5, the spy show. the spy series, the British spy series. I think it's called Spooks in the UK, and which is quite a different role. But his agent suggested him, and I'm like, wow. As Natasha said to me, she said, well, he's absolutely perfect for the role. So, but no, they didn't know each other at all. So that I was lucky they got along and it all went well.
Yeah, maybe that's actually kind of perfect because I don't know if you filmed it, kind of chronologically or out of order, but maybe it's kind of perfect that they didn't know each other and kind of got to know each other as their characters did as well. Maybe that helps with their chemistry.
Yeah, and they're just both really, really professional. So it's nice, and I think they like those kinds of roles, and I think it suited them both, and they're both like so stunningly gorgeous and sweet in that. So it's it's not hard to play a romance then. Although they're both very happily married, I do want to stress that they both have wonderful marriages. It was, well, when we showed it we screened it in London for Natasha and Rupert and their families and that, and at the end Natasha's husband said, well, I don't really like watching my wife fall in love with another man, but I thought it was a good movie.
Well, I'm glad that they approved as well. I guess it kind of comes with the territory if you're married to an actor.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think I would like that.
So I guess, I was just wondering, what inspired the story here? Is this based on, just, I guess,
no.
is it based on personal experiences? Have you,
No, not at all. And my husband will be pleased to hear that. I did dream part of it, but it wasn't like a dream that I was in, but just the notion of somebody being away and living a life and almost forgetting they had a home life. And then I was looking at TripAdvisor for a hotel we needed to stay at once, and I actually read that beginning incident that actually happened. There's a TripAdvisor review saying that actually happened to someone at a hotel, that they were checking in and they could hear the hotel staff having sex behind the door, and how awkward it was as they waited for this person to come out so they could check in. And I always thought, well, that's a good start to a movie.
Yeah, that is kind of the perfect, awkward tension, but also kind of sets the tone of this hotel as well, that there's plenty of personal things going on that will limit the ability of the hotel.
Yeah, we actually stayed once also in a hotel in London, and I don't know what was going on there, but the staff were constantly huddling and whispering, and whenever we came near them, they would just freeze and be absolutely silent, and then as soon as we were out of earshot, they would start this, great whispering, heated whispering again. So, obviously they had something going on, so, my mind went to that kind of thing. And I grew up in a small town, so I'm not a big fan of small towns, so I know a lot of movies present small towns as these, wonderful, idyllic places, like all the Hallmark stuff, like, don't you want to go back to your small town and that's where true happiness lies? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I am so glad I moved to a city. So
that was also one of my questions, because this does kind of, it has a mixed portrayal of the small town. I think you do it justice, because there's definitely, everyone knows everyone, but there is also like a general sense of kind of love and community that you can feel, even though there's also, your path kind of following you.
And we film in Sault Ste. Marie. There's actually a government program where we get extra funding if we film up there in Northern Ontario. It's about an hour and a quarter flight north of Toronto, and its population's about 70,000, and it is a depressed town. Like it's an ex-steel town, like as presented in the movie. There's a lot of unemployment, and it's so I felt we captured the mood of that, like in the movie. Like it worked to have something, where the idea matches where we're actually filming. So you go there and people are so open, like unlike in Toronto. Where do you live?
I live just outside DC, in the suburbs outside DC. So.
Right, so much more, urban life than that. But up there, you just become best friends with everyone, and you can't fight it. Like you go location scouting, you go in somebody's home, and they're telling you their whole life story. And at first I was like, an impatient city person, like, well, I can't wait around for this. And now it's like, I love it. Like they're just so nice. You get so close to them. You all slow down. You get the work done anyway. And I do feel, however much I'm a city person, every time I leave the Sioux, I feel I've become a better person. Like they're just so nice, but everyone is so open.
Yeah, it sounds like, I was going to say, it sounds like maybe you're becoming more of a small town person, but, I guess everyone
Yeah.
can kind of think about travel these days since none of us can travel anymore, so.
Yeah, that's true. And it's interesting there because it's actually, it's on Lake Superior where we film, which one British actors called Lake Sensational. It really is quite the lake. And you are just, have wilderness all around you. Like you're not, because where I grew up, the small town I grew up was 50 miles from Toronto. So it's still, quite an urban area. We could just get the bus to go see better movies. You know what I mean? I was a teenager getting a bus and going to see The Conformist. It was like, whoa, this is so cool. And that, but up there, you can't. Outside of the town is just like forest and deer and bears. And I am a total coward. So the scene where the two of them are sitting by the lake in the morning, the location manager was saying, oh, there's this beautiful area, you've got to go and check it out. So my husband, he's the producer, David Gordy, and we're trucking out on the weekend to check this, and one of the park employees just strolled past and said, oh, by the way, there's been a bear sighting there the other day. And my husband was starting to chat with him, and I'm back in the car. I'm gone. I don't want to be anywhere near a bear. And so you can forget that there, like just around it. Even where we shot Kayla's house, the owners had these teenagers, and they were telling me, oh yeah, sometimes at night you can just see a bear walking down the main street. Like, oh my God, I'm never going to be here at nighttime.
Well, just be in, a more populated place like a hotel or something like that where the bears are afraid of.
Yeah, apparently. I had an actor say to me once, well, I'm afraid to go there because of bears. And I was like, bears? Come on. This is some myth of Canada or something. And then I talked to some people in the zoo, and they said, oh, just go to the garbage dump if you want to see bears.
Oh, gosh.
I don't actually want to see bears.
Yeah, our wildlife out here is a little less dangerous. We have deer and foxes, but no bears that I know of. I mean, maybe they come out at night, but.
Yeah, that's all pretty scary. Yeah, but it's nonetheless, as I said, it's a nice place to be in that. Fortunately, like Walmart dominated like so much of the world is now. So when we buy things for the movie, because it's the program is to help the economy there, we really try to shop at local stores and then keep them going.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it sounds like I love that that it seems like the directions to get there are accurate. 'Cause I remember Abby, Natasha's character, says something like she flew into Toronto and then took a short flight to get to wherever they were. And it sounds like that was an exactly accurate description.
Yes, you go on a small propeller plane, and I hate to fly, so I'm a total wreck. But and the actors' agents are always like, well, they should be flying business class. I'm like, whoa, this is so not a flight that has business class. It's just a tiny little plane. Yeah,
business class, you'll get like a screw top wine bottle and call it a day.
Yes, indeed, yeah. So it's but as I said, the people are lovely. The people are absolutely lovely. I can say as a Torontonian, they are much nicer than Torontonians.
And that definitely comes through in this film. Although I loved some of the very kind of frank, borderline insulting, but from a place of love lines in this film. Is that? I assume that wasn't based on anything you heard going back to your small town or anything like that, or was that just kind of dialogue that you thought would be funny and also kind of break the ice a lot of times?
I think it's true, although I avoid my small town as much as possible. I think people do. I think particularly, like I did grow up poor. I grew up very poor in a small town, and that's not that pleasant, when you're poorer than other people. So that, I think that memory stays with you. And although I was not wonderful, like Luke, I was just some ordinary, schlubby person. But I thought it was interesting with Luke that he had both, like that, because he's this good looking guy and he was bright and they all looked up to him. But at the same time, there were people who put him down because he was the poor kid in town. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that was, Rupert was just the perfect cast for that, because he definitely looked like kind of the former high school star that had come back. And then, but he did have a lot of, vulnerability and uncertainty that popped up throughout the film. So I thought that was a really fun character to watch.
Yeah, I thought he played very well, that even though, like, he looked successful inside, he still had a lot of insecurities. I thought he did that beautifully.
So you mentioned you were writing this film while you were filming The Bet, or maybe it had just finished.
No, just before we started The Bet, yeah.
How long did this take to write? It seems like it was a very personal.
This wrote really fast. I mean, I just felt like I was racing, trying to type fast enough to keep up with the characters. So this was the easiest script I've ever written. So it was only a few weeks. So, and then editing takes me like 6 months. So I use up the time later. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's not that efficient a process. I just spend more time on a different phase than most people.
No, but that's fantastic. A full script in like 6.5 months. Like 7 months. That's still really good. And I find when I write, the toughest part is just getting everything on the page, and after that I can move things around and edit and do whatever I need to. But just writing, like physically getting words and ideas on the page, always takes me the longest.
Yeah, that fortunately for me is, I mean, I don't put that whole stuff on the editor function. I tend to turn that off when I'm writing the first draft. I work that way more than I used to. When I was younger, it would be like, oh my God, I have to get every word right. And now I think it does help that on the first draft, if you just say, like, I'm going to get this down. When the characters are alive to you, so don't worry about each line or whatever. Just be sure that, they come to life for you. And there were lots of kind of either personal speeches that were actually said, or speeches that, you kind of heard snippets of, were those based on things that you'd heard before, or were they just ideas in your head that you threw on paper? Like, I'm thinking of Rupert's speech to his ex-girlfriend and Natasha's speech at the funeral. Those all were they felt so organic. Yeah, no, they're fictional. What I like in writing is the imaginary people. The characters become extremely real to me, and that's the part of writing I enjoy the most. So I don't have like a huge problem with that. Coming up with, what they say. That's probably the easier part for me. It sounds like you're in the right field then. So as both the writer and the director of this film, I guess, how much did you kind of allow the actors to play around with the lines and the characters and whatnot? And how much did you kind of try to stick to the original vision, or did you just kind of turn it off when you became a director and said, okay, that's the script, and if it changes, it's fine, and now, I'm the director and I'm kind of making this, bringing this to life? I am not attached to my work at all. In fact, I've had actors tell me I should be more attached to the lines. Because I write it and direct it, I feel like, give me something else, I guess I don't want just what's in my head. So I'm always welcoming things, and actors have varying degrees on that. Rupert is not an ad-lib guy. Natasha does a little, but not a lot. The Brits tend to do less ad-libbing. They have much more of a fidelity to the text. Canadians will change any line anytime. There's a huge improv tradition in Canada, like, with Second City and all of that. And, so Canadians just love to give you something different. And Rupert at one point came to me and said, at the end of every scene, they just keep talking with more lines. I'm like, yep, that's what Canadians do. And then what you have to do then is monitor that it doesn't go too far. Like, they can go into sketch comedy, so you kind of rein it in. Once on one movie, I was talking to an actor who did a lot of sketch comedy. It's like, okay, it has to be something nonetheless believable, and you can't say something about other characters that don't relate to what actually happens in the script. So you put a fence around them. But I'm actually quite open to that. Like the bit where Rachel was in the middle, Rachel Blanchard, who played Kayla. I mean, she's a Canadian, but she's kind of an LA Canadian, so I guess she's got a balance there. But the part where Rupert kneels down to Kayla and she says, "I do," that was Rachel's ad lib, and Rupert had the hardest time not laughing. Like, it was just killing him to not laugh. That's love. I mean, that's fun. It keeps it fun for the actors too, even if it can be difficult. Although some of the Brits don't like it, I have to say some kind of get their backs up and go, I don't do improv. That was not Rupert and Natasha. They're both very laid back people, but I have worked with Brits who are quite appalled at the looseness on our sets. But basically I make sure we do get the script done, because you don't want to like fall in love with something on the day in filming and then after realize, oh my God, that wrecks the whole movie. That doesn't work at all. So I like to be sure we get, what's written done first, but then I'm always happy if they play with it a little bit.
Awesome. And so I loved, putting on your director hat again, I loved that the tone of this film, it stayed innocent. It could have delved, I don't think you would have, but there could have been implications that would make it into more of a kind of a creepier tone or, less innocent. But I love that the tone just felt like, this, kind of new relationship feel throughout the entire thing. And so was that something that you were, I guess, how did you keep this tone so lovely during this film, even though you're dealing with some pretty hard topics?
Yeah, the main thing is to get good actors. You can't teach someone to act on set on a low budget and a tight schedule. So, that's something you have to do. You got to be sure you have really good actors. And, I had some discussions with Natasha and Rupert on it, and they were like, okay, our characters fall in love very quickly. Like, is this going to be believable? And they were saying, well, what if we give ourselves some little looks sometimes, like when they're in the pub scene, where they just look at each other and that, just ways to show it building up. And, they were both game on that. So yeah, you need actors who don't fight you.
Yeah. And then, one thing that I loved is just the music had this kind of, it was piano theme that was kind of existed throughout the film, and then little kind of light touches here and there for some of the humor. Where did who did that? And
that's quite something. His name is Ken Harrison, and on the bet, I was looking for a song to go over the end credits. And for some reason on my iTunes library, I had some songs by this band, Boy Wonder Bread. And for some reason, I have no idea. I don't know how I ever stumbled on them. I always really liked them, and I thought they were a bunch of teenagers in a small town in Ontario. I have no idea why I actually thought that. So I really wanted that song. So I got, Googling, and I found an email to Boy Wonder Bread, and I sent this email, and I got to know this guy, Ken Harrison, who is a psychiatrist, a very high-level psychiatrist. Like, he went to the top schools in Canada, McGill and U of T and he has a band with his wife and have for a while called Wild Strawberries. And then on his own, just with a few friends, he has this band Boy Wonder Bread. And he's a long way from, a skateboarding teenager. And we got talking, and he was like, yes, of course you can use the song. And he was very gracious on money because we don't have much in the way of budget. So then he was just saying, well, I have more music if you want to listen to it. And I was like, of course I want to listen to it. But I didn't know that he went beyond, really kind of pop rock songs, and he just started sending me this amazing music. Like, the guy is astonishingly talented. Like, I'm sure he's saved many lives and probably stopped people from committing suicide and whatnot as a psychiatrist. But whoa, his musical talent is really, really good. And then Wild Strawberries, the band with his wife, that's our closing song, our end credit song in this movie. So yeah, he's just a genius. And we've done another movie we're doing post on now, and he's just provided even more music for that. He's just so talented. Yeah,
that's just kind of the main, I guess romantic theme for lack of a better word that plays a bunch throughout the film. And I just loved it. Every time I heard it, it kind of, evoked this kind of smile when you hear that tone. And I didn't realize that it was already written. I thought it was custom written for this film. So
no, he did some custom writing and some stuff that he'd already written. But he just has such a range of wonderful stuff. And he does, like, he'll send me stuff like, I don't know if you ever watched the German series Deutschland 83. It's kind of a spy thriller thing. And after he watched that, he sent me a bunch of spy thriller music. He just has such range. He's an absolute genius. So I just feel so lucky to have met him, and I'm a bit relieved he's not a skateboarding teenager.
That sounds like you're going to expand your genres too. A spy thriller would be a great follow-up film after this post-production one's done.
Yeah, that would be fun. It would, yeah.
So without getting into the actual ending, because I want people to experience it and see the ending itself, I think you mentioned this earlier, but, one thing I was wondering is, was that always the way it was? And it sounds like it wasn't from what we were talking about.
No.
But so you were playing around with other variations of what could and could not happen.
I don't even think of the ending when I write. I just follow them along. I just try to do what's true to the characters rather than imposing something on them. So, it just, that's what these two people would do.
Yeah, and I think that's what I liked most about it, because it did feel very natural. It feels like a film that kind of takes real life and responsibilities and emotions that you might have in the situation into account when you're kind of on this journey, rather than kind of a manufactured Hollywood ending. So I really loved that part about this film. I was really happy when that ending happened.
Okay, so because when we started shooting, a whole bunch of the crew were like, I hate the ending, and I was like, oh my God, have I made some horrible error? So thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Yeah.
No, it's definitely, I don't want to get too much into it, but it felt something that could happen on a business trip. Not that it has happened on any business trip I've been on, but it feels like something that could happen.
It certainly hasn't with me, no. So, yeah.
So if you've got the time, I'd like to move. I call it the lightning round. It's just really lightweight questions about the film and kind of to hear some of your experiences related to the characters and the things that happen in the film. You can choose not to answer. I won't be offended at all if you don't answer, but I try to keep them very answerable. But feel free to pass on any of them.
Okay.
So what would people who knew you in high school remember you as?
I think they probably wouldn't remember me. I'm just like the kind of person who stayed at the library a lot. I think I'm quite forgettable, which is a really valuable quality in a writer, I have to say, because someone was telling me I had lost a button on a jacket, and someone was saying, oh, then put these multicolored buttons on, like different ones. I couldn't find a match. And I was like, no, I don't want to be noticed. I want to be like lingering behind somebody and eavesdropping on their conversation, because maybe I can use it as a script.
That's fantastic. I think you're definitely in the right field.
Yeah.
Have you been to any of your school reunions?
No, I did go to my high school. We actually had to go to a family funeral. It wasn't like a heartbreaking. It was like a very distant relative. I don't think I'd actually even ever met her, but it was near my high school, which is in the town of Grimsby in Ontario. And, it's near Niagara Falls. And, so as we were driving back, we stopped off at the high school, and it was, on a weekend, and we walked around the high school, and I thought, oh my God, I was so miserable. I am so glad I am not here anymore. I dropped out after grade 11. I went to university later, but, and back when I went, like you went up to grade 13, but I dropped out. I hated every minute of high school. So no, nothing would get me back to a reunion there.
All right. So maybe another answer to this. Recognizing that you are happily married, do you have, quote unquote, the one that got away, from high school?
My husband is the one that got away.
My
husband is the one that got away. We were first involved when I was 19, and we split up. He hates it when I tell this story. He broke my heart after 6 weeks. And then 7 years later, he called me, and we were together for 6 months, and then he broke my heart again. And then he came back 3 years later, and we are in a few, and Friday, what day is it? Yeah, in 2 days, we're going to have our 38th anniversary. I'm old, by the way, in case you hadn't figured out. So yeah, it finally worked out. So yes, my husband is the one who got away, which is probably why in scripts I show a lot of affection for the one who got away. Yeah,
that's a fantastic story. And yeah, being old, I mean, you definitely have a handle on relationships that I think is fun to hear, and probably gives you that breadth of experience that you would need to write some of these realistic characters. So.
Okay, I hope it helps. I hope something good comes out of getting old.
I mean, it worked here, so this is the body of work I know. Have you ever left someone a breakup note?
No.
Okay. Did your husband leave you a breakup note when he broke your heart?
No, he broke it in person.
That's good.
No, I've never had a breakup note, and I've never written one. No, that's interesting. That's an interesting question. Yeah. Well, now I guess, it's been a long time since I've been dating, but I guess now you can break up by
tweet or, text message.
By
It just
text,
seems
that would
crazy.
be brutal, right?
Yeah.
Text breakup, that would be vicious.
So you kind of got into this a little bit earlier, but what is the, I guess, rudest experience you've had with the hotel staff?
I'm trying to think. I do hate bad hotels, but I don't know if anything really, unlike the person on TripAdvisor, have never hear them having sex. So, I guess so. Probably that's the area though where I most squander money. I'm very, very frugal person, as all indie filmmakers must be anyway, but I am naturally. But I hate a bad hotel. So I tend to be treated nicely in hotels better than I'm treated anywhere else in life because I go to nice hotels.
That seems like a good use of the money.
I'm not sure it is, but really hate that one.
Oh, well, if it affects you, right? What is the quickest that you've jumped on a plane for any reason? Like message received, jumped on a plane, or plans made, jumped on a plane.
I hate flying, so I can't think of much. As I said, I'm very frugal. One time we had a possibility of a meeting in LA on a movie, and we went to the airport to get last minute tickets, and they were too expensive. And my husband and I looked at each other and said, "Oh, they're not going to give us money for a movie anyway. Let's just go home." So I'm kind of the opposite. Yeah.
Or maybe they think this is a person that's going to manage the money correctly. So let's give them some money.
We didn't get the money, so it didn't work out well. One time I go very quickly is when we finish shooting. When we finish shooting, because we shoot in Sault Ste. Marie, I am on the plane home the next day to get back to our cats. My husband can't come right away. He's got to do the wrap for another week. But yeah, I rush back to the cats.
That makes perfect sense. Have you ever pretended to be a part of a relationship?
No, I'm a horrible liar.
Okay.
It's my hardest thing as a director. I mean, because directors, have to bullshit a fair bit, and I'm really bad at that part. So, if I tried to fake anything, no one would believe me.
Well, that's not a bad quality. I mean, so it's always good to have honest people around. And so, it sounds. What's next for you? You mentioned that they have another project in post production.
Yes, I put it on hold. It's a movie with Douglas Hodge, who won the Tony for Casual Fall. He's a brilliant actor, and Gina McKee, who is just really, really great. And I'm very happy with the movie, but I'm having to finish post now due to COVID at a distance. Like, we're isolating a lot because my husband has some pre-existing conditions. And brown skin, which is possibly a risk factor. So, he's from India. So, I had a giant 4K monitor delivered to us yesterday, which we had trouble fitting in the elevator. It's a loaner from the post house, and they're sending giant speakers today, and I'm going to try to, finish this off at home. Like, I've got the mixers working elsewhere and the colorist is working elsewhere, and I will be going over their work and sending notes here. So it's an odd experience because I really like being there with them. I like that part, being in the room and knocking ideas back and forth. So, I'm not sure how this is going to work, but it's certainly not going to be as much fun. Although I had a dream last night that our cats knocked over the giant TV. So,
oh gosh,
how's that for a stress dream?
Yeah, that's not a good one. Get some tie downs for it.
Yeah, we have this loaner of this giant thing, and the last thing I want to have to say is, well, I'm sorry, but Lizzie and Emma destroyed it the other day.
We'll send you the cats, but we have to keep the broken monitor.
Yes.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. The film is Getting to Know You. It's available, everywhere digitally. So, even if you're in lockdown, you can check it out and be reminded what it was like when we could travel again. And this is Joan Carr-Wiggin. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you. And thank you again for the lovely review and just, the attention you're paying to the movie. We really, really appreciate it.
Awesome. That is fantastic to hear.
Okay. Take care.
That was Joan Carr-Wiggin, the writer and director of Getting to Know You. Getting to Know You is available digitally on pretty much every platform, so you can rent it, buy it, check it out at home, and remember what it was like when we could actually still travel around and meet people. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot and make sure all my new interviews go straight to you. And as always, please go to watchyourpast.com for all your movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Thank you.